Um, my name is Gideon Amponash. I'm a resolution fellow. My social venture is named MyHealth MyWellbeing. It was created to help end the stigma surrounding mental health in Ghana and just to promote more mental health education in Ghana, especially among the young people.
Awesome. I'm Whitley O'Connor. I'm Resolution Fellow Class 5, I believe. My venture is Curbside Enterprises, which is a network of social enterprises that provide employment and job training to folks who are transitioning out of homelessness. Working with younger people, do you think, I know it's kind of a stereotype, and I have my own feelings about, but in that work, do you think that just like how prevalent social media is and how prevalent people's like lives online are you, do you feel that in your work you've seen that having a detrimental effect or a positive effect or
I think
both?
that
Maybe it's
both.
complex, right?
I think the best bit is to say both, because like other kids in places like Ghana or like even all the parts of the US that might not be used to like a family that's much more compassionate or maybe that's much more educated and then bring up issues about mental health and then the need to be on medications. They're actually watching YouTubers talk about it. They're
Mm,
watching TikTok stars talk about like their own mental health problems. And then so in a way, it doesn't make them feel isolated. It makes them feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this journey. I know somebody else that has been through this, has been through that. Not even on just mental health, things like even type 1 diabetes. Like you see somebody like a celebrity in a commercial talking about having type 1 diabetes, and then you feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this. So I think in that aspect, social media is helping. But in the aspect that it's not helping, it's just the type of information that people consume that you might just so think that other people's life are way far better than yours. You might be stressed about it, but in reality, it might not be the same at all. So then it's putting on due burden on you to like be at certain situations or be at a certain point in your life that maybe time will not permit. Like let's say like I was out of school for 4 years before I started law school. And then in between those 4 years, I constantly like see people post like, oh, I just finished this, I just finished that, I just finished it, I just finished that. And I had people tell me, oh, we're hoping you had your master's by now. We're hoping you do this by now. Oh, you used to do very well in undergrad. We're hoping you, not that I was a failure, but like people probably put much more expectations on some people.
mm,
Unfortunately, other kids or other young people might see that to be a burden and then take so much pressure on them to be like, and then mess up their mental space. But for me, I just believed in running my own race and then believing in what I want to do. So I think part of our conversation with young people is that, social media could be good, but don't necessarily take everything literally. Like just don't make anything seem like, okay, this is exactly what it is. Like people take vacations, pictures, and then they be fighting on those vacations. So you never get to see the other side of it. So I guess social media could be good and bad. And I think overall, as young people in these leadership spaces, we need to like help like gear people towards using them the right way.
mm. Yeah, that makes sense. It because it is something like, when I didn't taste alcohol until I was 27, right?
Oh, nice.
Because I have some history of addiction in my family, and I was just really concerned that if I drank, I'd go too far and I'd make mistakes and ruin my life, basically, right? And going through college, like that was really hard because I'd go to parties and stuff because I was still social, and people like did not get it, and I'd get pressured to drink, and they thought it was weird that I didn't drink. And then now there's this kind of like sober movement online, right? Like people are starting and celebrities are talking about why they're sober. And so now it's like kind of cool to be sober. And I'm like, man, if I had had that when I was, 18, 19, 20 years old in college, which below the drinking age in the US, but people drink in college. This is
I
reality.
understand.
But like if I had that, I wouldn't have felt so isolated, if that makes sense, right? Now I have friends I know are sober by choice, and I see celebrities talking about it, and so it's like you're saying, it's a lot less isolating because I don't feel so weird that in college I didn't want to drink, and now kids in my same situation are seeing that because of the algorithm and what they're searching and all that. So yeah, I
Yo,
definitely understand that point of it's kind of both sides, but to your point of like people are posting their vacations and the highlights. That's something that, I've been talking a lot with folks I work with about in the nonprofit space, and in social enterprise. We feel like our job is like share the good stuff. Everyone wants to hear the good and the impact, and we're ready, like we got this grant and we help these many people and this and that, right? And so everyone looks at it and they're like, oh, like everything, like
It's
sometimes
going
they'll look
great.
and they're like, yeah, it's going great. You're doing this such meaningful work and you're so happy. And like it is meaningful work and it is impactful work. But I was recently I reached out to a friend who's launched a super successful company now, and it's growing very, very quickly, worth a ton of money. And I just reached out to him. I sent him an email. I hadn't talked to him in years, and I was like, "Hey, man, I see your success and like things taking off. Like, I'm really proud of you. I'm happy for you because I know how hard you've worked on this." And his response was like very genuine about like, it's taken a lot of sacrifice, and people see things and they think it's just so easy. Um, but in reality, like there's all this other stuff happening that you don't
True.
see because your stakeholders don't want to hear it and your funders don't want to hear it. They want to hear what you're doing. And so it's one of those things that I think, particularly if you're a founder or you're an exec in these spaces, it can feel really lonely and isolating because you're kind of pushed to put out the good, the good, the good, the good. And in reality, sometimes your donors and your friends and your family need to hear the hard, right? That,
True.
you know, last week I put in 75 hours and there are a couple nights I was at the shop until midnight. And that's the stuff people aren't seeing. They're seeing like the impact we're having, but you have to have those discussions because that's how other people in those situations understand that they're not alone and that, you know, life is a roller coaster, right? You have dips, you have
True.
ups, you have downs, and that's okay. If you're in down, doesn't mean you're always there. We're gonna be on vacation posting on Instagram again one day. You know what I mean?
I agree. I like the vacation part. And also, just to go back to your point about the drinking, um, I lived in North Dakota for college. And in North Dakota, I think the last time I checked, it has the highest teenage drinking in the country, like young people drinking in the country. And what that meant was that um I've never drank, so don't feel alone. Like I've never drank, and in a place like North Dakota, like people really, really drink,
Mm.
and like they expect you to be able to drink. And like I was like, I don't drink. People are like, whoa, why? Like, and then I went to all those social events. I just related back to your story. Like, I went to all those social events, and then to this day, I think in North Dakota, it was there. Like I remember one time we went to like a job. Like I used to do financial work. So when April 15th hits, it's actually a party day because taxes are done and everybody's feeling great. So we had this party bus, and the whole time people were just drinking. And I'm not judgmental like about anybody drinking, but like people were like trying to force me to drink. I'm like, you can't force somebody to do something that you don't want to do. But I guess like talking to other people and knowing other people that don't do it, and I just felt okay by somebody calling me weird, but like I'm okay in my own, like whatever that I want to do. And now in the legal profession, it's not a jab on them, but everybody knows this. Like people drink a lot at the events, like any events that with alcohol. They expect you not to get drunk, but they will serve you alcohol. So for me, going through those spaces where I feel comfortable to say no, I just been able to like encourage other people. First years are coming up. And I actually had a first year ask me that how can they manage such situations because they don't drink and they think that there's a lot of pressure on them too. And I just said a good advice to them, like, there's don't judge anybody that does it. It's nothing wrong with it. But don't put that same expectation on yourself. You just gotta do whatever that works for you. And if you think that's not what's gonna work for you, just do you. And I think a lot of young people, the more they could get people telling them, hey, be you and whatever that sticks out to you, people will feel better and people will realize that they could live their life differently and still be unique in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people do drink to kind of like, some in a healthy way, but they'll have a couple drinks to unwind or whatnot. How do you like handle your own like, mental well-being? How do you unwind and lose some anxiety?
Honestly, I've never really thought about it, but there's a few things that I do that maybe I'm not sat down to think about. I do have a video game.
Mm.
I love to play FIFA a lot. So like when I'm like down with classes and I'm super stressed, I have a few friends online I play with, or sometimes I just go online and find anybody who wants to play and then just play those games. I do have a lot of like songs on my playlist that I listen to. And then sometimes the news could be depressing, like every now and then. So I used to watch the news like just to know a lot going on,
Mm.
especially when I came to the US new. I wanted to know like a lot more about my surrounding and then the culture and the environment. But now not anymore. I watch like funny things on YouTube. I just scroll through my phone, anything funny that comes up, I do it. And then most importantly, I have a 2 year, he's gonna be two in May. I have a 2 year old son. He's gonna be
Oh.
two in May. And then he's a lot of work. So he could take up almost all the time. Like once you stop playing with him, he doesn't want to stop. He wants to just keep coming, hitting you, jumping on your neck, going up and that. So usually that's what I tend doing. Just like, and I also stay on the phone a lot with my family members. Like, so before when you're stressed, I talk a lot with my sisters that are all over the world. By the time we're done talking, like I gotta go to sleep. So before I realize, like that's one way I deal with my own problems. What about you?
Yeah, I think there's some things that I try to there's I get called into work and work long hours a lot, and so there's certain things that like I won't miss if that makes sense.
Yes.
I play in like a recreational baseball league,
Oh,
and
nice.
like those games and those practices, like I won't miss them because it's a couple hours I get to get away and not think about anything, and so that's a lot of fun. I have a bad habit of one way I de-stress and kind of, try to mentally unwind is I like to work on projects, which sounds weird, to like work to settle down from work, but working on things that are just for fun and don't have any like consequence to my job or the organization. I really enjoy doing that. Um, so I think those are the big things. And then I have a really guilty pleasure of uh like some people call it trash TV. Uh I love just like some reality TV.
What are
Uh
examples? Give me some.
yeah, so like recently I've been watching Catfish a lot. Are you
I
familiar with the
used to
show
watch
Cat?
it. I used to watch
Okay.
Catch a lot. Used to.
Uh so like I'll just like watch something like that or like there's a competition reality show called The Challenge uh that it started from MTV show called The Real World, and then now it's like a competition show for money, doing
Okay.
like physical feats and stuff. So I'll watch something like that to just kind of like unwind and like try to, get my mind off of other things going on. I've never been like super into like physical fitness or anything. Like I've never been to one that's like I'm gonna go to the gym and just like get buff, or I hate running, so I can't do that. So I think those are the things I really focus on is fun little quirky projects and my baseball and my TV.
Nice. Actually, like for example, the reality show they talk about, I still do watch a bunch of reality shows like on almost anything, like just go on Facebook, social media, whatever that comes up. Like I just love to. Like, I don't like. It's a weird one, but it's true. I like to listen to like the funny side of things, like people come and talk like good stories. I know those things. I like watching like dating shows, like when people are looking for like somebody to be with. I'm not looking for a relationship because I have one, so I don't watch the good ones. I just watch the messy ones, people that have like funny things going on, like they have like they go back and forth arguing. So like, just to laugh, and just not to make super sense of like just to make not to make anything super of a big deal for me. So these are some of the things I do. You talked about fitness. Every year, I've actually thought about going to the gym. I don't know, for some reason, I don't really super care about it. It's one thing I want to care about, but I'm not there yet. So like I I actually have a membership that I pay every month that I don't use. So and then I feel guilty canceling it. But hopefully in May, once I'm on break, I could have a different story. But if I don't end up doing it, it would not be the end of the world, you know?
Yeah, no, I kind of feel the same way. I live like a couple blocks from a gym. I'm always like I should really sign up. I work in like a fairly like physically demanding job. The two things I oversee are a series of snow cone stands, employee youth, and then a screen printing shop that like prints t-shirts. And so
Okay,
I do a lot of like physical work anyways. And so then by the time I'm like head home, I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to stop at the gym, but I'm kind of tired from today anyways.
I agree. I agree.
And like running, for example, everyone's like, "Oh, you should really run. Like that's a great stress reliever." I'm like, "Man, that stresses me out." I feel like anytime I've tried running once a year, I'm like, "I'm gonna get into running." I try it, and I'm like, "This is horrible." So I think it's all just about like, everyone has their thing, and whether it's silly reality shows or running, it's like whatever works for you, latch onto it and run with it. So now that like you're raising a son, uh,
Mhm.
and you've obviously worked a lot with youth, what are some things from like a mental health standpoint that you want to like pass on to your son that maybe younger people should be thinking about and doing? Like, are you thinking a lot about that as you raise them?
I do, especially like I think a lot of it boils down to even decisions when it comes to careers. Like, how do you decide what you want to do? How do you decide, so for me, I always say to myself, if I didn't go back to school, I probably wouldn't know what I'll be doing. It's a very unfortunate statement, but that's the truth. Like, I don't know I'm not really physical in sports. I love to watch it, but I'm not the best person you want to build a team around. So, like, I don't know how to play any musical instruments. I don't have anything unique I could make a living out of being uh, good in school and doing well. So I don't want my son to be that way. I do want him to know how to swim, know how to play some musical instruments. Like I don't want him to go a traditional pathway like what I'm doing to become a lawyer. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being a lawyer, but I'm just saying like those are things that you grew up as a kid, like everybody says around you, I want to be a lawyer. So you grew up into it and then you're wondering, like I always thought about it. What if I knew how to play golf? Could I be Tiger Woods? Like, what if I knew how to play like tennis? Could I be a, a great tennis player? What if I knew basketball? Like, just something that's beyond. Because like I think there's so many skills that are easy to us, like dancing and singing. Like you could dance, you could sing. So those ones you could easily know, like you have it. But always think about someone like Serena Williams. What if she never played tennis? So she would never have that talent come out. She would have never have the world see such a great person. So like to answer your question, definitely, I want my son to be exposed to more things than I was. I don't want him to just go to school and then do a traditional job. Whatever. I would not be angry if that's what he picks, but I don't want it to be like that's the only thing he has. If that helps.
Mm,
Yeah. So like I don't want him to grow up in a situation where like he feels like I'm not angry with my parents on anything about that because they gave me the best they had. But like if you grew up in a situation where you had less resources, it sometimes confines you into like a one way. I think I came out well, but I don't think everybody has that opportunity to come out as much as I did. So I would want him to be much more exposed, less judgmental about other people and what they do, and just like, explore more things about himself, if that helps.
mm. Yeah, I think that's a lot more prevalent now, it seems. Like when kind of similarly, when I was growing up, I came from a pretty poor community, and it was like, a doctor, a lawyer, like here's the
Yeah.
way to there are certain people in the community that had money, and it's like these are the careers you go and do. And for me, I decided I was going to be an engineer,
Yeah.
right? And I went to school and I hated it. Like my first semester, I was like, I'm either dropping out or transferring schools because this sucks, right? But I felt so much pressure because I was like, growing up, my family's like, here's, they hadn't gone to college, so they're like, go to college, do this, make money, you've made it, right? And so I thought that was like the career path. And I hated it. And I was like, I don't want to be unhappy for the rest of I'd rather be poor than unhappy, like. And I think that's something that particularly the next generation understands a little bit better, that like working an 8 to 5 and being upset for a third of every single you're sleeping a third of the day, you're working a third of the day, and then you have a third of the day to do what you want, right? But you have to take care of your house and clean and whatnot. But they don't want to be unhappy guaranteed for half of the time they're awake every day. Uh,
Hmm.
but the opposite end of that coin is that you now have a lot of folks that, you have like Mr. Beast and these like celebrities
I was gonna
online.
talk about that. Yeah,
Yeah, who, they're just regular people that somehow made it big. And so anyone can do it
true,
theoretically. But you have a lot of people who are really disappointed when it doesn't happen for them, when they don't become influencers or their following never grows and whatnot. So it's a really interesting balance of like you want, like you said, you want people to be exposed to these things and not feel like they have to fit in this box. But you also don't want them to feel like I don't know, if they don't reach these crazy dreams that it's like a failure, right?
true,
There's value in the experience.
true. I actually just watched a Mr. Beast video yesterday.
Okay.
Last night I was watching the video. Was one, I mean, he has a lot of crazy videos, like, and then it's so intriguing that once you start watching, you just can't stop. Like, I think it was just, and it's just, I think the money aspect and the kind of gifts he gives to people while they go through those crazy challenges is what makes this video a little bit unique. And like
Mm,
you said, all those people have made it beyond what like you would think the traditional route to making it looks like. I mean, there's a lot more people like there's Drewski, there's everybody like they're doing crazy things on the social media. And I feel like one unique thing you said, while all those things are doable, you don't want to bound yourself to it because it happened for Mr. Beast. It's not necessarily going to happen for you. So, like as young people too, we need to keep ourselves in check and like be honest with like certain measures we could do to like take them off. It's not everybody that's going to be the next Mr. Beast. It's not everybody that's going to have like billions of followers or millions of followers. So once that's not happening for you, just be content with what's going on for you. You don't necessarily have to be at the operas playing big show. You could be at a small club, small bar, and then you're making your own money, and then just be happy with this one. So I can just be happy.